This is Odilon Limika on this session. Would you believe that this is session 11 out of 12? So time goes fast, and hopefully, yeah, and spring is coming, I guess. So, topic today. Topic today, we're going to talk about post sales opportunities. We're going to talk about warranty. And finally, we're going to talk about pre sales opportunities. I want to identify that next week, which is the last session, we're going to talk about Anora 1.4 and the Anora Plus. I'm going to talk about the changes, small changes to the installation for these two wind turbines compared to what we've covered over the last 10 sessions. Okay, and that would wrap it up. Okay, so if we recall from the last session, where we were, well, we raised the tower up to 7 degrees, right? And then we showed how to connect and disconnect from the gin pole and the winch so that at the end of the day, we can raise the tower to 90 degrees. The reason we need to do this is that eventually when you get to a certain point, around 70 degrees, when your winch is pulling on it, you have more force going in the X direction, which is in that direction, than raising the tower. So as a result of that, we need to move away from the gin pole and connect directly the tower to the winch and move forward. And we've documented how to do that. And once the tower is up, last week we talk about how to secure the tower, making sure that all the guy wires are at the right tension and all that. And would you believe that after that, we're done? Project completed. Amen. Okay, so here we go. So now it's about post-sales opportunities, maintenance. Some customers may decide to do it themselves. Some may decide or want somebody to do it. So as a reseller, it provides opportunities. Okay. So post-sales opportunity are a function of inspection and maintenance. And all of these, what I'm going to show you, are documented in the reseller agreement. So that's your reference document for all that. But here, I'm here to summarize it for you so you get an idea. Again, post-sales opportunity for your customer that doesn't want to do it himself and looking for somebody to do it. Okay, so the key thing about guy wires tower is at the beginning, with tension on guy wires tend to stretch a little bit. And after a while, they don't stretch anymore. So we need to know that. So basically, what we recommend is a few things to do. The scope is here, but basically to do every 2 weeks, all right, up to 3 months. And then after that, every 3 months, and then every 6 months thereafter. So it's not bad, but at the beginning, every 2 weeks, because that's where the stretching can take place. Okay, so let's look at that. So what do we have to look at? Well, the first thing that may happen as the guy wire gets stretched is the guy wire may get out of the thimble, right? So remember the thimble is here, I don't know if you see this, and then the guy wire goes around in the thimble. And sometimes if it gets really loose, I've seen places where the guy wire gets out of the groove and the thimble. So let's make sure that all the connection to the anchors, that the guy wires are loop in the thimble. And then the torque on the wire clips, the nuts here, are to spec. All right, so they may get loose a little bit. Unfortunately, you cannot get wire clips with nylon nut. And I think that would be very helpful. But unless we substitute those, there's no wire nuts on these guys or nylon nuts. So you have to check, make sure the torque is on it. And finally, the turnbuckles, right? Remember, we have turnbuckles at the bottom. So there's a lock nut, and this is one of your turnbuckles here, and there's a lock nut right here. In fact, there's two. So the idea is that when you adjust with the turnbuckle, when the adjustment is complete, then you use that lock nut to make sure the turnbuckle doesn't unwind on its own. Okay. So let's make sure that that's nice and tight. So your lock nut is set. Okay. So those are the three things you have to do. And again, do it every 2 weeks at the beginning and every month for the first after the 2 weeks is elapsed. Okay. So it's not too bad. And then after that, you have to make sure the tension in the guy wire is correct. Again, that's because the guy wire can stretch, especially at the beginning of the tension. And then after that, they get set. So you have two options here. One can buy a wire tensioner. They're available on Amazon, whatever, a few $100s you get one. Or we have a hand approach to it, depending how you want to go about it. Okay. And we'll talk about that, how to do that in a second. And the last thing to do is a visual inspection of the turbine and all that. So let's just get to it a little bit. Okay. So there's the schedule. Everything is documented in your reseller agreement. Okay, so tension on each guy wire. You can use the tensioner or the hand approach. So I've used this approach there numerous times. Document, so you open your hand by using it like this. All right, here's my hand. You place the guy wire inside your hand at the edge of the finger joints. So let's say this is a guy wire here. You put it inside like this, all right? All right, so you get this way, assuming this is the guy wire. Squeeze the fingers, so I've ahead of the game, you squeeze, all right? And then use your thumb, where is this? Right here. Use your thumb to push on the guy wire. All right? And then you press on the guy wire with your thumb. So if you can rotate your hand and you can push the guy wire by more than about a quarter of an inch, which is not much, but you get a feel for it. All right. If you can't do it, that means the tension's about right. If you can't move it, if you cannot do it, like it's hard solid, that means your tension is your guy wire is too tight. You have to loosen up a little bit. If you can't do it, and it's like you can move it by an inch or more, whatever, then it means your guy wire is too loose. Okay, so it's a quick way, not very expensive, the way to do that. All right. Okay. So again, use that. I've used it numerous times, and the nice thing about it is it's quick, and you can feel right away if the guy wire is too loose or too tight. Okay. Now, as a reseller, you may want to consider a wire tensioner. Costs a few $100s when you sell. Okay. Done the inspection and maintenance. The other thing you want to do is look up and make sure that the wind turbine rotates smoothly as the wind direction changes. Okay. And more importantly, align with the wind. That's what the wind turbine is supposed to do. It does all the time, but just in case it gets stuck somewhere or whatever, make sure it rotates with the wind. Pretty straightforward. Probably takes you less than 5 seconds to do that. Finally, listen to the noise. Is there some infrequent noise that you didn't hear? High pitch, low pitch, but infrequent. Is there some excessive hum coming in? A good one is to put your hands on the tower, and you should feel a consistent hum on the tower. It's like an air conditioning unit, and that's the turbine rotating. If you get that, then everything is good. So those are very simple steps to do. Make sure that everything is working properly. Okay, not complicated. Now, more important, every 2 years or 3 years. So every 2 years for class 3 wind, 3 years for class 4 wind, right? Class 3, if you recall, is higher wind speed than class 4, right? So every 2 or 3 years, we recommend you lower the tower and the turbine attached to it. For each coupler, so remember, each coupler, there's guy wires attached to it, right? So make sure the guy wire is looped in the thimble, like we talked about at the bottom, and make sure that the wire clips are torqued appropriately. Because there's vibration there a little bit, right? So we have to check that. Remove the nose cone. There's only 3 bolts attached to it. And validate that the torque is correct on the hub bolt nuts. You recall there's about 9 bolts attached to the hub. And they are nylon nuts, so there shouldn't be any issues, but just to make sure. I'll make sure the thing. There's a drive shaft with a lock nut. Check the tension there. And then reinstall the nose cone. While you're there, inspect the blades. Look for cracks or nicks. Normally, these things can be generated if a bird hits the blades. The blades are very good quality. They're made to sustain high wind. They will not crack just because of the wind. But if a big bird hit the blades, that may create a crack. Need to be checked for that. Now, obviously, if surface scratches on the paint is not an issue. And again, that's because something has hit the blades in the air. Okay. And when that's done, then raise the tower and you're good for another 2 or 3 years. So those are inspection and maintenance that a reseller can provide services to and get paid for. All right. Okay, let's look at the warranty. This is the form for the warranty. This is like the form. It's available in the reseller agreement. Okay. It tells everything that it tells you that the name of the customer, the product name, the product number, customers and resellers and all that to validate that it's been installed and all that. So that's the warranty. It's a 10-year bumper to bumper, straightforward. Now, there are a few conditions for the reseller. I think that's fair. So warranty conditions or waivers, obviously, there's a problem if the instructions for the installation were not followed, right? Or the maintenance was not followed. Is a good one. That I've met before. Some people substitute some parts. Well, if you do that, your warranty takes a beating a little bit, right? Get challenged. What happens if the reseller stores the turbine tower and it gets damaged during storage, right? The reseller or customer site, all right, can be responsible for that. Is a good one. I've seen some people make some changes to the wiring. That's important, especially if you decide to change the gauge of the wire and all that. Don't want to do that. Shipping damage. Here's one of my favorite. The concrete pad. The concrete takes a few days, takes some time to cure, depending on temperature, but normally 28 days. We had a customer who decided to install the tower and raise it, the day after it was poured. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Okay. So there's a reason why we say 28 days. Okay. Other is, we have an instruction manual that shows how to build the concrete pad with all the layers and everything else. So we need to follow that. It would be good. And the other one is it's 4,000 psi concrete. Don't use 2,500 or 3,000. All right. That's below spec. Those are, in my opinion, pretty straightforward. Okay. But if anybody kind of waves in those things or do these kind of things, well, let's not be surprised that maybe the warranty is waived or impacted. The details of the warranty conditions are specified in the reseller agreement, right? So it's all spelled out. I just extracted some key sections of it. Okay, so it's all documented there. Okay, some reseller says, okay, is there any pre-sales opportunity for us beside selling turbines and towers with the margins that are provided? Well, there's a few. You can do the site assessment, right? We've covered that in video session number 1 and 2, right? So, for example, where to install the tower base, where to install the anchors, okay? Look at the windrows that we covered that in session 2. Is there obstacle that need to be looked at? What's the distance to the battery room? And we have some tool software to help the reseller assess the trade-offs. As I mentioned before, we have a customer who the distance is 430 feet. So it's just a matter of looking at wiring and all that to make sure the losses are manageable. So the site assessment can provide good revenues for the reseller, all right? As well as the anchor location, what type of anchor is defending on the ground. Not every customer wants to get in that kind of detail, so we're looking for somebody to do that. There's also power electronics. So Borrow Energy Solution has a relationship with wholesalers for these kind of things. So we can provide some very good pricing, so it can support good margins. So batteries, batteries, obviously, inverters, charge controllers, net metering, which is a specific type of inverters that need to be looked at. I should have put hybrid inverters now that are coming to becoming more and more popular, and integration with existing systems like solar panels. And if there's service, I should put it there, that BS can provide is load assessment. So if somebody says, I have a house right now, blah, 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 and I want to be off grid or reduce my consumption. So what kind of load assessment needs, and that load assessment needs to be done. And we have expertise within BES to do that. So to help the clients say, this is the kind of turbine you need and solar panels. This is the size of batteries that you need, inverters, and how to do the automatic switch over between the grid and the battery system or hybrid system, inverter. So those are pre-sales service opportunities that can also generate revenue for the reseller.